Hey everyone, welcome to episode 63 of PixlFeed Radio. And I'm here with my friend JC from Hite Digital. JC, what's going on, man? How are you today?
What's up, brother? I'm doing good. Very, very blessed. How about yourself?
Doing fantastic. You're probably having a little bit of better weather than I am in Florida because you're in Nicaragua, all the way from Nicaragua, South America, where you've been there for a while now. So for those of you that don't know, JC is the founder of Hite Digital, which is an agency that specializes in white label. They also make courses for agency owners so they can expand their knowledge, bring on more clients, and obviously so they can help fulfilling the needs for those clients. JC, before we get into the agency and where you guys are at today and what you guys do, why don't we talk a little bit about your background? Because you've been there for a while, you've been doing this for a long, long time. So let's go back, how you got started as an entrepreneur. What's the story there? Were you one of those kids who was selling stuff on the side in school and doing all that kind of stuff? What's the story?
Bro, man, so I was super blessed. I grew up in a family that was much more about, like what you just said there, teaching you how to fish versus giving it to you. Long story short, man, every day after school, when I was young, middle school, high school, I would go to my grandparents' house, and my grandparents were in real estate. They bought real estate, had apartments, did really well. And every day we'd take out the paper and we would go through the paper. We'd look at the homes that were for sale and we start doing charts. How much would it cost? How much could we rent them for? What would the taxes be? What would insurance be? And we would look and see, do these things cash flow? And, quite often we would leave and go look at the homes, and every once in a while my granddad would even buy one, right? Until one day I was 15 years old, true story, 15 years old, my granddad was like, why don't you buy one? And I was like, okay, what does that even, what does it even mean? And I went through this process where, my granddad gave me the confidence, and we went to the bank. My granddad and I, which made this potentially easier, my granddad and I have the same name, John Hite, and went to the bank, had like an hour discussion with the president of bank who went to our church, about loans and lending, and ended up signing legal doc. Of course, these would, just thrown away, but here I had this deed in the name of John Hite, ended up having checking accounts. I had to rent out my houses, and there's so many stories I could go through along that journey. But at 15, essentially, I bought my first house, and that kind of kicked it off. And from then on out, it was always like, try to do something. I didn't sell candy. What I did was I would go out and cut limbs and then shave them and then like stain it and put little designs in the wood and sell them, in different shops, and, did all these type of crazy things. Then became a financial advisor out of college, worked in banking for, I think, 8 years, give or take. I started working in a bank when I was 17, actually, for that same guy who helped me, quote unquote, get the loan.
Connections, man. It's all about the connections, right?
Yeah, bro. I mean, it was all about connections. Ended up doing a lot of different things, and then found myself into the digital marketing world. Actually came in as a very minor owner in an Inc. 500 agency. We were growing like crazy. We got that agency up to about 1,500 clients, a little over 300 employees.
Let me ask you something. So you went, okay, so the house, then financial advisor. I'm assuming you grew up here in the States.
Yep.
What was the change? How did we go from financial advisor to the agency? Like, what kicked it off? Because it's two completely different worlds, right?
Yeah. So, so here I am in banking. I grew my real estate portfolio. We had about 40 or 50 houses, and I was making more money in real estate working like an hour a day than I was being a banker. And so I ended up leaving. From then I decided to create a tech ed company. That tech ed company, we were teaching English online. The goal was to kind of create a nonprofit where we taught English online. We taught it at a super affordable rate, like really, really affordable. We basically did it at a loss, but then what we did was we were collecting data on the back end to sell to big tech, big companies, right? And so what I would do is I would, just give an example, I would create a lesson around buying a car. And then through that process, I would ask you tons of questions about cars, put thousands of students in that course from all ages, and then I would give that data back to Ford on how people were buying cars, what colors, all these different types of things, right?
See, I got so many questions. So how did you even break that deal, man? Because obviously you're collecting the data. But who do you in contact at Ford to be like, hey, I have all this data that I can give to you guys, sell it to you guys. How does even someone get to that point?
It's definitely, I would say, I don't know, bro. Like you asked me how I have no idea. What I can tell you is, bro, like all of these things is about hustling. If you want to talk to someone, I think in today's world with media, how it is, I mean, like if you hustle enough, you can get the right connections to talk to the right people. I really believe that, as long as they're not douchebags and don't just want to, just don't want to spend time with anybody, right? Like there's no reason why you can't find the right people, especially more so in places like Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Honduras, these type of things. The opportunity, I think, there is just freaking huge, to be able to, I mean, like I've met, people that, president level all the way up to the billionaires, you name it. And it's because these countries are very small. Like it's much easier to meet the right people in the right times. And it's been, I think, an integral part of our success,
Right. It's like, I kind of mentioned earlier, I grew up in Venezuela and, my dad had a huge business out there with oil. And I mean, you knew everybody just because it's a small country. Venezuela is the size of essentially, California or Texas, I should say, where you can drive from one side to the other in 8 hours. You know what I mean? So they're very close. What do you call it? Socialite groups or whatever you want to call it. A lot of people know each other and you get introduced to all these networks and all that stuff. So, which is cool.
That's right.
All right, cool. So, all right, man. So how did you so obviously you launched Hite Digital. How did we go from the agency fulfilling regular clients? At what point did you decide to go full white label?
Yeah, man. So one of the things with growing our agency back in the day, the first company I was with, when I exited there, it was really difficult. I mean, we were competing, and the biggest reason why we were growing so fast is because we had offices right here in Central America. So there was no one, like our margins were better than anyone else. Because we saved money on people, it doesn't mean we cut our prices. We weren't doing it cheaper. We were giving it the same price, but we had better margins. Well, what do we do with those margins? Now we're able to invest in more marketing, more sales, more scalability, right? And so we essentially took that exact same model and said, hey, how do we scale this and give all agencies, that ability to grow and scale? And just that, I mean, the ability to overcome like even crises like 2020. I mean, dude, Hite Digital, we did not cut one salary. We didn't fire one person, in our space. That's really difficult because every company out there, the first thing they did was cut their friggin' marketing budget, right?
Right.
And so the ability for an agency in the US to use a white label company where they don't have the overhead, they don't have like the overhead cost and all the problems that come with that, is dramatically can impact your ability to make decisions, your ability to get small, your ability to overcome these economic ups and downs that we live in today, right? And so we created that, bro. I mean, we've been in business, I guess, 3 years. We just turned 3 last 2 weeks ago, I guess. And we got several hundred clients. We got about 80 full-time team members. And we're I think we're on track to make the Inc. 5000 list this year and maybe the top 400 or 500 on what we can do today. So it's been an incredible journey.
That's amazing, man. So for those out there, the audience that is listening to this or watching this, a lot of them are agency owners and they're always looking to expand. So what services do you guys offer as far as the white label services go? Like full on digital from graphic designers to, I'm assuming, Google AdWords, Facebook ads, the whole 9 yards. What are the main services you guys focus on?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, SEO, PPC, Facebook ads, all the creative brand books. We do CRM management as well as, I think I mentioned, websites. But now we're actually taking, and there's several, like our big competitors like Invisible PPC. There's also some, someone might classify us as dash clicks, just like you would classify a Ferrari and a Hyundai as a car. But you have dash clicks, you have Vendasta, you got a lot of different players out there. How we're changing the game right now, though, is we're actually compounding this idea of white labeling into an actual franchise model. Like, what does it look like for us to come together as agencies and scale and grow using all of our assets as one? And that's been really intriguing. We believe we can completely flip flip the industry utilizing this type of business model.
That's definitely an interesting take, because I know Vendasta, I know Invisible PPC, I know those guys. So when you're talking about the franchise model, let's say I want to start a franchise. One of my first businesses was a franchise when I was 20 years old. So what is the process like? I come to you, I say, hey, JC, I want to start a franchise, of Hite Digital. What is the process like from, talking to you guys? Walk me through that process of like, starting the franchise. Is it depending on location, by country, by city, by, how does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're definitely territory driven, right? So we have different territories for everyone. We kind of, we're very different. All right. So for me, family and faith is like by far a nil to none, priority for me, and being able to help people provide for their families more and increase their faith is very, very important. So our franchise, I mean, like Chick-fil-A in the US,
right.
We want to become like the Chick-fil-A of digital marketing, known for values, known for a very, very high quality product, so on and so forth. So what does this look like? Before I say that, I'd say even like kind of where I think the digital marketing is heading, because I think it's about to shift. I think the digital marketing world is very similar to the real estate world. So if you look at real estate 25 years ago, every realtor in the world was independent. They all acted by themselves until a company called Century 21 came along and said, look, let's all come together. Let's save money. Let's compound resources. Let's increase our ability to actually scale. Let's all of this good stuff, right? Not only did they do this, though, not only did they successfully bring all of these independent agents together, they did something different that not a lot of people know about. They started lobbying for law change, right? Like today, it's really difficult if you're an independent agent. Like, are you aware of? The barrier of entry is really difficult to overscale, right?
Right.
In fact, not only this, so going back to the legal again, if you think about marketing is the only, no one's corrected me so far, so feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on this. I'm going to keep saying it until someone does. But real estate, digital marketing is the only industry I know of where you give someone money, you tell them you're going to give them an ROI, and you call it an investment, and there's zero regulation.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, right? Yeah. There's no regulation.
I think there's a lot of things coming over the next couple of years that being a part of a community and a team that's really like together, not like a coach that like can leave you at any minute, but like really together, I think is going to be incredibly, incredibly powerful, overcoming all those obstacles, right? So if you look at it, go ahead.
No, I'll say I'm glad you bring that up, because I've actually brought this up on here before, is that it's like a 50-50 type of deal. Like you have people who are looking, they want to get into this business. They want to, start in this business. And they're actually, some of them are passionate about servicing their clients and taking care of their clients. But those are the people who usually, it's very rare that you have an extrovert who's good at sales, who's also good at running ads and doing all the digital marketing side of things. It's two completely different skills. And then you have the people who go out there, they take some crappy course they bought for like $100 or $1,500 from some guru. And then next thing you know, they're trying to sell digital marketing service and making promises about, oh yeah, we're going to give you 100x ROAS. We're going to get you all these results. They have no idea what they're talking about. They have no idea what they're doing. And then they burn that client, and it gives the industry a bad name. And I tell people all the time, when I flipped my first couple brands and I sold them, and then, started working with clients because people kept asking me, I didn't touch a client account for the first probably 5 years. Just because I didn't feel comfortable enough to go in there and like spend their money without knowing that I could actually get them the returns that I wanted for them. And then you have these flyby people who just do it. And I mean, it's like you said, there has to be something that has to happen to regulate this industry to protect the clients. That's right. These people need to be, real estate, there's laws and all that stuff that they can protect, the buyer and the seller and the real estate agent. There should be something. And I think you're getting somewhere with this. I never heard anybody bring it up. And I think it's a fantastic idea what you're doing, and that you're bringing it up, because it's definitely a conversation that needs to happen, and something that needs to happen across the board. And by you guys offering the franchise option, I'm sure you're covering all those bases, right?
That's exactly right. Like the goal here is that, I don't know anybody who tells you like, I can grow your business to $1 billion. I can like, I mean, there's too many complexities and variables in the world we live in today. Right. And so the franchise model is just simply going, whatever comes, I believe we can face this better together. Has there ever been a Taco Bell that failed? Probably, but you got a system and process that really works, and they're willing to put their logo behind you to make sure it's successful. And so for me, I think a lot of agencies, and what we're trying to combat in that model is that I see agencies as like 4 different pillars you have to kind of focus on. So one, you have your fulfillment, your product. Is it quality? Is it good? How are you setting expectations on audits, so on and so forth. Number 2, you have prospecting and sales. So how are you getting leads, all this good stuff. Number 3, you have systems and tech. And number 4, you have like general business coaching. Like as an entrepreneur, you're going to make the right decisions to grow your company. And the problem here is that a lot of times agencies, they have 4 different people on different, all 4 of these different things. So they use GHL. So they love Sean Clark and they learn from him on how to build systems in tech, or Christine Seal. And then over here, they go to what's his name? That's a sales coach and helping them how to grow. And then they go over to Hite and they do their white label fulfillment. And even though independently, all of these coaches are really good. I mean, you look at all the coaches of an NFL, like they got there for a reason. But if you listen to all 4 of these, what's going to happen is you're going to start to pull doubt, right? You're starting to go, okay, Christian said this, JC said this. So I'm going to try Christian's way. And the moment it doesn't work, oh, no, I'm going to switch instead of giving it time, Right. And so the franchise model is meant to encompass all of these categories and go, hey, we're going to have one, a system that actually enables you to drive forward without any doubt. And oh, by the way, all of this stuff is dramatically cheaper. Like our entire company is built on Salesforce, one of the biggest platforms in the US and in the world by far in terms of CRMs. And through that, if you went to Salesforce today, I mean, your license, not alone the $500,000 you're going to spend in development, just the license is $200. Well, economies of scale. Our license is $16. You look at things, I don't know when this has come out, but we just signed a deal with Ramsey Solutions. I don't know if you know who Dave Ramsey is, but of course. Those type of relationships are really difficult for a small agency to do. But because of our size, even though they're really expensive to make happen, economies of scale, it's really affordable for us. So we're becoming, or they're actually becoming one of our sponsors, sending a ton of business our way, right? And so, there's so many opportunities you can have when you grow and scale, across the board, And oh, by the way, you can leverage everything as well. You say, oh, we have 100 team members. We're partners of Google. We're partners of Bing. We have this, all this good stuff and assets that you can use, as one.
Yeah, and that makes a huge difference, because that's a very good point that you brought up. The way I learned from so many people, and obviously spending tons and tons and tons of money myself and doing it. But at first, I can see what you're talking about, where newbies will get confused because you have one person telling you one thing, and then you have the other person telling you one thing. And then if you have someone like me when I was starting out with like shiny object syndrome, like you're just like, oh man, I just found this awesome course. And then I just found this guy and I found this guy. And it's like you said, they know what they're talking about, but you're trying to put it all together. And it's like, in a way, information overload. So if somebody's starting an agency and they're new to the business, I mean, I don't see a better way than to do it with a franchise. I mean, that was my first real business, a franchise. And I'm glad I did it that way, because they were basically hand-holding me all the way through, and that's how I learned. Otherwise it would have been years and years of trial and failure when, it's a franchise because it's a proven business already. It's a proven, what do you call it? System. That's right. System.
A proven model.
Yeah.
And that's what, So, I believe, honestly, we can change the way, I think we can truly set a path where it's gonna be hard to compete, right? Like, I mean, even, you go through a pandemic and all of a sudden you get clients trying to leave you. The ability to be able to cut costs this quick is very, very important, right? Well, we have all of our fulfillment done in Central America. No one can go cheaper than what we could go if we had to, you know what I mean? And that's really important. Like the ability for us in 2020 to tell our clients, dude, if you need to cut your cost, like we're right there beside you. As much as you need to, like, we literally told our partners, whatever percentage discount you give, we'll match. So you get 95% off and you charge $100, we'll do the same and we'll charge you 20. right?
That's awesome.
Why? Because if anybody could do it, we could do it, right? Like we have the margins, we have the overhead, we have, the ability to make those things happen. And so for me, I look at entrepreneurship, this is a war, it's a fight. Everyone wants to take you down in this world. I mean, everyone, even everyone. And so you got to have as much armor and protection and power as you could possibly build up, through connections, through technology, through savings. Not having debt, these type of things allows you to combat this chaotic, world we live in.
And especially nowadays, I mean, the way you're set up, your company's set up, I mean, let's face it, the pandemic, basically moved the whole digital world 5 years forward. What was supposed to happen in 5 years happened in one, as far as growth, right? So obviously a lot of people are moving online. I think it's also made a difference in the way we communicate, and also, these big companies accepting having remote teams. That before this happened, people was like, oh, all your team's not in your office? I'm like, no, like half of them are all over the world. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not really necessary. So you used to get a little bit of pushback that way. And now it's like worldwide, everybody's getting used to it. Obviously the digital landscape is changing rapidly after this pandemic. So if someone wants to get into digital marketing or, for whether it's for local or big companies, I mean, I don't see a better way than to go with somebody like you guys, where you already figured out and you're keeping up with the changes that are coming this way. So with everything that's going on, obviously, what do you think we go from here as far as like the digital landscape? Obviously, you have like the privacy issues with, everybody's being more aware of the data that's being collected. So people are calling for breaking out Facebook, Google, whatever, all these platforms. Then you got, Apple with the release of iOS 14, that's going to cut, a lot of the tracking right there. What do you think we're moving in the next couple of years? Do you think it's going to be more of a, ecosystem across multiple platforms? Do you think the days of people concentrating on just one platform are over? Because a lot of the mistakes that I see, people concentrate on one. So they either pick Facebook, Google, or let's say Snap, and that's it. That's all the traffic they run. They rarely, when they're starting out, they're rarely looking into other platforms. What do you think we go from? We're going to see more of an ecosystem with a lot of email using multiple platforms, whether it's Snapchat, Facebook, Google. What do you see in the next 5 years? Let's put it that way. What direction do you think we're going to head in the next 5 years?
What's my prediction? Yeah. So one thing I think Facebook has done, I really do. I had a video I did last year that somewhat predicted the Apple thing coming through. And I mean, the reality is, anytime you have a platform, I mean, discrimination is such a huge topic, especially in the US right now. And you have a platform, if you really think about it, it's 100% built on discrimination. I'm going to serve you ads based on age, based on sex, based on location, zip code, i.e. income. I'm going to show you, like, you can't do that. You can, I mean, that's, I don't think it's going to happen for very long. And what does that look like? Well, it just means that it's not like you're not going to be able to advertise on Facebook. Just the landscape is going to change, right? Like 15 years ago, TV was the best place. There's still TV. There's still people that watch it. It's just the landscape and how it's driven has changed. I think it's going to go more broad. If you got a product that 99% of people need or want, cool. Throw it up on Facebook. You're going to make it roll. But I think the ability to target is going to dramatically change. And I think that's going to happen in the next 6 to 12 months. I really do. I was on a conversation with some high ups at Google. This was a couple months ago. I mean, their goal right now is to make it where Google pay-per-click is so easy, you don't need an agency. Like, that's their goal. Like, they want to make their AI and all of their automation as seamless as humanly possible. Like, that is their goal. And it makes sense. They want to make the barrier of entry to the end client as affordable as possible. And all,
I mean, yeah, that's the ultimate goal. Same with Facebook. I mean, they're making it so you upload your catalogs, you upload your products, and then it's just click a button and let it go.
And so where does that leave the agency? I think it dynamically changed it. Kind of what you were potentially hinting at there is that the agency is going to have to be the person who strategizes and pulls it all together, right? Like, I don't see Google integrating fully and sharing data with Facebook or Twitter or Instagram unless they buy them, right? Like, that's the only, offset there, like Facebook did with Instagram. you're going to have someone who pulls all this data together. I think video, digital marketers are going to have to learn how to use video and engagement more, learn how to use the engagement or the organic side of these different platforms, right? So that we have Clubhouse, we have TikTok, we have all these different platforms that dramatically impact our ability to be able to grow the business. I've done 3 podcasts today with different people. And the one on right before this was a big guy. His actually business is building trailers. All right. So they do food truck trailers, and they build this across. And it just so happens he invited me on the podcast, but he is one of our clients. And he was like, dude, Hite's killed it and crushed it for us. We're dominating PPC and SEO. But like the truth is, and I didn't tell him this, but like, dude is a mastermind in his organic. He goes live all the time on Twitter. He goes live all the time on Facebook. He's always doing things on like Clubhouse now. All that stuff drives the other stuff as well. You know, like if you're always, and you have a huge traffic following on TikTok that leads to your website that then drives traffic, I mean, like that's a huge advantage. That's free. That offsets all the other costs. You know what I mean? And so it allows you to really grow and scale in a much more efficient way. So I think Facebook's out. I think organic has to come back in a lot of different ways, but through social, not just through Google. I don't see anything happening with Google. It's people are searching for you, not the other way around. So I don't think anything fundamentally changing with them, except for the fact that they want their AI to work better and better and better. And they've made some big progresses in the last, even 6 months on that. So I think the way the digital marketer is going to change, like I said, I think I'm predicting some laws coming in, which means that there's going to be a bigger barrier of entry, which means the people that are on the other side of the fence are going to be able to potentially scoop up a lot of clients that those smaller ones couldn't. I don't know exactly what that looks like, but I think there's going to be a lot of shifts and a lot of changes to it. And I'm excited, man. We're buying agencies. If you got an agency you want to sell that's doing at least 75, 80,000 a month, hit me up. We're acquiring right now, and we're moving in the franchise model. So it's been
going all in
the agency world.
No, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. So listen, JC, I really, truly enjoyed talking with you, man. I think I agree with you. It's going to be, I think the next few years, it's going to be more of a quarterback game. Like, just putting the plan, strategizing everything, and letting the AI, handle the things. Because let's face it, that's been their goal since day number one, right? Let the AI learn, and then you don't have access to that data, but they'll serve that ad in front of the right person, and they'll know it if it converts. So it's going to be, that's where the true marketing knowledge is going to have to come into. We're putting a strategy together to drive that message across the whole ecosystem and make it congruent in order to represent a company and bring those customers in. JC, where can everyone find you, man? Whether it's for the franchise side of things or the white label side of things, where can people go to find you?
Dude, I'm heavy right now, or trying to be heavy right now on social media. So any of the platforms, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, do message me personally. Like if I don't get back to you, you'll think it's me getting back to you because it's one of my assistants or coordinators. So hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, and we'll try to sync up, dude. I really love this stuff. So talking to other agency owners, dude, it's fun. And so any way I can add value or help or just want to chat, like I'm super down. But Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, HiteDigital.com if you're interested in white label services. And we'll make it happen.
Right on. Thank you so much, JC. I really appreciate it. Remember, everybody, check out HiteDigital.com. And thanks again for being on the show, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, brother. Thank you.